All right, everybody. Welcome to Bucklebomb Entertainment Presents, our live discussion. Tonight's our first themed show. We're going to be talking about some of our favorite or best managers that have been around in the business. I am Sarah out of Syracuse, New York, and today's topic for Get to Know You Better is favorite musical albums. For me, one of the few albums I can listen to start to finish is Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses.
Okay. I'll go because do you need some time to think about it, Brian?
Yeah.
Okay. So, hi everybody. I'm Orlando from Fort Lauderdale, and musical albums I have two. One is Pink, Misunderstood, which I felt like she put out like a very great album where she explains herself because everybody misunderstood her in a sense of what type of genre she likes. And the other one is Christina Aguilera's Stripped. I just love that album. That album, from beginning to end, is just an amazing album.
I actually agree with Orlando. Both of them are actually really good. I'm Brian from Portland, Oregon. My album that came to mind, which is weird because I don't really know if it's my favorite, but it's the first one that popped in my head, so maybe Taproot Poem is probably my favorite one. And
I've never
Orlando,
heard of
that is like I don't know how to describe it, new age metal rock kind of band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If we're gonna go, I think another album that I can listen to beginning to end, surprisingly, wasn't their best album though, was Aerosmith's Nine Lives.
Okay.
And if you want to go musicals, I would say The Lion King, the 1992 one. I would say that I love that album. As a kid.
Yes.
With me, we're never going to go musicals. I hate musicals with a passion.
But I got us all tickets to Broadway.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have Corona.
Wait. Which one, though? That's the thing. Depending on which one.
It's a surprise. We'll find out when something opens up. All right, so let's get back into the topic at hand. Managers. One of my all-time favorite managers, and he's still talked about to this day as one of the greatest, is Bobby the Brain Heenan. Started around late 80s into the 90s. He was around mostly for WWF at the time, and now WWE. Had a little stint with commentary in WCW. He had his faction, the Heenan family. At times included Bobby Roode, Andre the Giant, Mr. Perfect, Big John Studd, Harley Race, the Islanders, King Kong Bundy, and a few others here and there. And I was surprised to learn that actually Brooklyn Brawler was in the Heenan family at one point. What do you guys think about Bobby Heenan?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. I didn't grow up with Bobby Heenan. I heard stories about him. I got into wrestling really late, so I've heard some stories about him. So
were they good stories or bad stories?
Oh no, everybody loves Bobby Heenan. There's no, I haven't heard a bad story. Everybody loves they always watch him because he's the blueprint when it comes to managers. So but yeah.
I think you could also say he was the blueprint for, being a heel commentator. His work with Gorilla Monsoon was phenomenal.
Yeah, he did do a lot of color commentator. He's really hard to listen to on color commentating. As I go back and watch old pay-per-views from WWF at the time, his voice is annoying, which is great because he's a heel. But it made some of the pay-per-views for me hard to watch. But he's a legend. Is he still alive?
No, he died, I want to say, around 2013.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was ill. Yeah, he was ill. I remember hearing about it. He was very ill. So,
if you go back and look at the pictures, the last couple of years of his life, he was very, very skinny to the point where you can tell he was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, rest in peace, Bobby. You've given me a lot lot of anger throughout the years.
Yeah.
He would have wanted nothing more.
Yeah.
Right. Uh-huh. So for me, as I started watching wrestling back in late 99, early 2000s, I think the managers were not like really popular at the time. It was not until I remember Trish Stratus coming into the picture. Um, she was a very popular valet in the 2000s. However, she wanted to transition into a wrestler, but she was very much the go-to kind of person to help out, like some people. Like she helped out Tustin Albert, Val Venus. She helped him out for an IC title win in the
Mhm.
2000s. So
She came
so
on the scene on Sunday with Tess and Albert as TNA on Sunday Night Heat.
yeah, yes. So yeah, so that was and also I would have to say around that time more women were becoming more like kind of like ballets slash wrestlers in a sense. You had Stephanie McMahon, you had Tori at the time. Lita was kind of like a ballet, but she also wrestled. So
China, you can
around
go
that
as
time
well.
yeah, you can go China as well. So yeah, so a lot of them were transitioning from walking the guy down the ramp or accompanying him to becoming wrestlers. So around that time when I was watching. So.
For sure. I think I'm gonna go to for my first pick out of the three is Kimono Wanalea, or Leia Meow as she is known in WCW. She was just so spunky. So she already had left wrestling by the time that I started watching it. But how I all got into wrestling was I randomly got a wrestling magazine. Yes, it was. And they had all the top 50 managers and 100 wrestlers of all time. So she was just like somebody that was known for stripping on top of the thing. And as a kid, I was like, what? She's stripping? And then she'd like show cat fights and stuff. She was the first woman that I seen like take really big, not bumps, but took high flying maneuvers in WCW in like 99, maybe 2000. So for me, I was just always in awe of her. She was like this little cute, tiny, hot ass Asian and just dominated. When she was there, you noticed her. I forgot who she even managed half the time. Not really. Tommy Dreamer.
I think the history of ECW, a lot of them manage the same guys. Like I remember seeing like Francine one time was with Tommy Dreamer, and then she managed Raven, and then
hold on, you're taking away my next segment.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
But yes, you are correct. Because ECW was known to keep their main stars, and to keep the story fresh, they would use a lot of managers, such as, they only had like maybe three. There was Beulah McGillicuddy, Francine, Kimona for like a year. Then they had Dawn Marie and Francine again. Like it was just, Francine was the only one that made it, but we'll talk about her next, or some of them.
If we're going to touch on ECW a little bit, my next manager did some work in ECW with Chris Candido. She's managed him right from the beginning in his indie scenes. Was Sunny. She spent most of her career in the WWF. She debuted with Chris Candido. Was known by a different name that escapes me at the moment, but he teamed up with somebody else and managed them as they were the Body Donnas. She also managed the Godwins, the Smoking Guns, and the revival of the Legion of Doom 2000. She didn't go to ECW until after they had left. Her and Candido had left WWE at the time. That's when she went to ECW, managed Candido. Unfortunately, Chris Candido passed, unfortunately before his time at a young age. She worked a few wrestling stints, few refereeing stints in the Indies. Mostly, I want to say Southeast and Northeast. She had been working a lot there. Was a GM for one promotion. She's been in trouble with the law a lot the last couple of years. But you can definitely say in her heyday, she was one of the top stars.
You know what's funny? She was only with WWF for like 2 years.
Yeah, I think it was more like 3 or 4, but yeah, because she did 2 different stints too.
She made appearances, so she was only there
Okay.
total from 95 to 98. So depending when
Yeah.
she came in and when she left, so it could be like a top of 3 years. So that was her entire time, and then she went to East. Sorry, I was there like during the whole time, so I have it memorized. So then she went to ECW for like a year, and then whatever happened, and then WCW for like maybe 8 months, and then she was fired because she was passed out. She was found passed out backstage.
Yeah, unfortunately dealing with a painkiller addiction.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
and
think
now
she
she's
had a
in
little
prison.
stint. Yeah, and I think I heard that she also had a stint in TNA, but then that's when Chris Candido passed away, like around that time when she was in TNA. So
I think she was only there
yeah,
for about a year.
yeah,
TNA, I
she
don't think she ever appeared. I think
um
she was there. Wait, I remember the story. She was there backstage, but I don't quote me on this because I could be making this up. No, I don't even want to say it because I don't know. The more I think about it, I think I'm making lies up.
right.
But what I will say
Um,
is the story that what I'll say, put it this way. What the story that I heard was that she was backstage and that she was too intoxicated and was unable to. Now, if that's true or not, I don't know. I think maybe she was set to appear with Candino and they were both supposed to come because he had surgery and then he died. That sounds more right, but I do remember that being a story for TNA too.
yeah. Well, girl, bye. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it was weird because I remember also like when like my next part, what I would say there was a few men that were managers. I would have to say like there was like Steven Richards and Santino Marella. They were managing some women, which that was a first. And then of course Teddy Long was kind of almost like the first kind of manager, kind of managing a woman in jazz. I wish they would have kind of continued with that because that would have been very unique and very interesting. And Teddy Long really helped out Jazz, for her to win her second championship in WWE. So that to me was very interesting at that time when I was watching.
Mm-hmm.
My next person is I'm gonna go with ECW as well. I didn't know that so many of my favorite managers are in ECW until we started talking. My favorite or my second favorite would have to be Beulah McGillicuddy. She was just awesome. She is one of the first people that would take hardcore bumps, wrestle, and also manage in the ring. She's the first person that had the lesbian kiss that got him kicked off of TV with Kimono Wanalea and Tommy Dreamer. They had a 3-way kiss. They had a 3-way relationship in the storyline. Maybe outside of the storyline. I don't know. And she is known for doing a hardcore match with Bill Alfonso. I would definitely suggest Googling that one or YouTubing it because that was a bloody mess. And this is back when women wrestling wasn't even wrestling. Medusa has already been out of WWF. There was no women in WWF that was wrestling, and she was out there doing moonsaults and hurricanranas and bloodying up guys. So it was really cool to see her, and it was very sporadic. So when she wrestled, it was super special. They didn't have matches every day, and she would take bumps. She broke her neck taking the Dudleys. What was it? 3D moves is how she ended up exiting wrestling. And she never really went outside of ECW. She was with them for about 3 years as well. She left to go to college. Good for you, girl. Good for you.
Wait, really? 3 years only? I could have sworn
Yeah.
she was there longer.
No, she was there from 94, 95 to about 98.
Interesting.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
am
remember.
wrong. Hold on. I stand
Okay.
corrected. So she did appear in Stampede Wrestling in 1998. She was dating Brian Pillman at the time. I did not know that.
Oh,
Who Brian
interesting.
Pillman's son is now on AEW and a fine fucking specimen of a man.
He just won a championship for an independent company. I can't remember what it was.
OVW.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep. that OVW that also trained, the likes of Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Batista. So
Beth
they're still around.
Phoenix,
So
Mickey James
yeah,
was there. That's how they.
yeah,
That
pretty
was
much.
that was
Melina, Eminem.
Uh-huh. That was
Yeah,
NXT for the time. So it was Deep South. Uh, then it was
yeah.
yeah, whatever or NXT now, the Performance Center. So Beulah, I mean, and then she came back in WC or WWE when there was when they were trying to revive the ECW brand, and you know how that went. That should have never happened.
Um, if she ever wants to make an appearance in TNA, she could. Her husband's working for TNA, so you know.
Yeah, that's. She also had a spread in Penthouse. She was the first, I think, first wrestler
she
to
she did the first everything. She's the first of everything. She's done the first Kiss. She's done the first Playboy cover, or Penthouse cover,
Penthouse.
whatever. So she's the first woman to have like a hardcore match. Like everything. Like to me,
Well,
like
probably not the
Hilo.
first. Like I can think of Wendy Richard and Heidi Lee Morgan having the first steel cage match. So there's been hardcore matches, but at the time of modern day history of wrestling, she is the first.
Right, pretty much. Yeah.
Mhm. All right, so move on to my next one. This is I learned a little bit about doing some research about him. Next great manager, in my opinion, was Paul Bearer, who I didn't realize was actually a licensed mortician before he became a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
He actually, in the Indies down south, he actually managed a couple of big names before they became stars, including Rick Rude, Stunning Steve Austin, and Mark Calloway, before he was The Undertaker.
Oh,
Mhm.
really?
Yeah.
Also, he's been around The Undertaker his whole career. Wow.
Yep. And the way he got up to WWF was Rick Rude was looking for a manager and brought him up to Vince McMahon. Say, hey, bring in this guy, and sure enough, he did. Undertaker was first managed by Brother Love and then passed off to Paul Bearer, who at that point was known as Percy Pringle, or Percy Pringle III. Paul Bearer also, aside from Undertaker, managed he also managed Mankind, Executioner, and Kane.
Yep.
And at certain points, Lex Luger, Eric Embry, and the Ultimate Warrior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But mostly associated with Undertaker and Kane, going back and forth as managers for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing Paul Bearer actually like almost the first time when he returned to manage Kane back in the 2000s to help him out. Then he left. Then he came back in around 2004 when The Undertaker decided to go back to his gimmick. So, and then of course he came back again in 2010. So, I remember seeing that, those different stories. So,
yeah, I remember when Kane first came around, introduced as Undertaker's half brother, people were questioning whether or not it was true or not.
Yeah, I remember. I thought it was for like the longest time too.
Back before the internet and
like,
kayfabe was still a thing.
Yeah. I thought it was true up until like 5 years ago. No, just kidding. But I did think that it was like real for a long time because I remember asking my parents and they're like, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Wasn't there the story that he was supposed to be all burnt, Kane?
Yeah.
And then when you see him without the mask and everything, he's not burnt. I mean, he's ugly, but
well, they used makeup at first, I believe, to kind of like to indicate some scars and charred skin.
They did, and then they're just like, "Fuck this! This is too much."
Yeah.
Budget cuts.
Yeah, pretty much. For me, the only two that really stands out for me, these are my two favorites. And they're very parallel in a sense of how they got into the business. Is Vicky Guerrero and Karen Angle. Vicky Guerrero, when her husband passed away, the WWE, they loved Eddie Guerrero, so they wanted to help out, Vicky and her family in a sense. So she decided to come in, and she became, a manager. So she first managed, Chavo Guerrero. They became heels, and then she was, you know, putting her stamp into the company. And then when she got with Edge, that's where she got her magnetic heat, which to this day I don't think any woman has ever gotten booed like that. Except maybe I would say maybe Eva Marie, but I'm thinking Vicky got more boos than Eva Marie.
Lita, maybe.
You know?
Oh yeah, when she
Oh no,
was with Edge.
Yeah,
no, I don't know about that.
when
That
she
that was
when she
different.
first dumped Matt Hardy to go to Edge, she got booed quite a bit.
Well, she didn't dump
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
They got
No,
caught
no, no.
cheating, and then he
Yeah.
dumped
Yeah.
her. Yeah, girl, we didn't forget.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's doing better for herself, anyways.
Yeah.
So
Wait, who is he with? Who is she with now?
huh?
Anybody? Is she with just her?
She's a free spirit. She has her man. She doesn't want to say who he is, but listen. I love Lita. It's just like it just bums me out on how they treated her
Yeah,
when she was exiting. It just like it hurts my heart because as a
Mhm.
Lita fan, it just really hurts.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
so,
No, I totally
you
understand
know,
that part.
so yeah, so but anyway, so yeah, so Vicky Guerrero, she was getting like extensive booze. She was like with the familia. They had that whole like stable, which helped everybody out, you know. And then, when she divorced, she divorced Edge, then she left and then she came back, then she started managing Dolph Ziggler and helping him out with his career. So, you know. And then, Karen Angle in TNA, she was still married to Kurt Angle, and she was getting heat like Vicky Guerrero because everybody didn't like her. And she was very much that pretty girl kind of like heel, which she really works well. And she knew how to work a mic and everything, and she knew who she could manage. She managed her husband and then probably I think made him a Mafia, and then like she ended up with Jeff Jarrett, and then she managed him. So, Karen Angle, she had some good stuff in TNA. So
Mm-hmm.
My last one is also from ECW. Recognizing a theme for me is none other than the only Queen of Extreme, the head cheerleader, Francine. I've been practicing that all day. No. So yeah, I mean, she was great. Like she was also one of the first women to take bumps and go through tables, and I love that she wasn't able to, that she didn't care that she was a sex symbol. She didn't care if she had to go do a match and take a beating and get a cookie cutter over the head. She was there for anything. You gave her a task and she was there. And I love that. And I think that's a missed art for not just the females, but for males. I love that she was willing to wrestle when needed and also was willing to manage and take bumps. And that's what I just loved. I mean, she was one of the people that I looked up to as a little boy wanting to be a head cheerleader myself.
especially I love the stories that you hear about her.
Oh yeah, she was not okay. So backstage, she was not as well liked. According to her, the boys loved her. She just didn't get along with other
Oh no
females.
no. The boys loved her.
Right, honey. I ain't gonna hate on her for that. Like, I mean,
Oh no, I'm not hating on her either. I mean, come on now.
right. Like, I'm not saying what I would do if I was back then. But no, I mean, yeah, but a lot of the girls, she had a lot of heat with some of the girls, not the originals, but she probably wasn't the nicest to the ones that were coming in, like Dawn Marie and them hated each other. Some of the other ones.
Dawn has that story where she beat her up like literally, and then they stopped talking after that. Where
yeah, but
I want to see, I want to find that video where she actually does beat her up, like like it was real life. It was like a real shoot type of beat up. I want to see it.
Well, I saw it, and it wasn't like they said. It was the last show on TNA or TNN at the time, which is now Spike TV or something. It wasn't as great as it was. It was a typical cat fight. They did pull a little bit of each hair. There wasn't a lot of punching per se. It was typical for them. But at the same time, you also hear Dawn Marie was actually the more problematic out of the two, because Dawn Marie also had a ton of heat in WWE with Tori Wilson, who was well liked by everybody. And just Dawn Marie was kind of thinking that she was the head bitch in charge. And, you know, Francine was like, no, queen, it's me, queen of extreme. And, you know, I mean,
Lord.
Francine did go to MLW for a little bit afterwards. Then she ended up on TNA for a couple episodes. And then she was finito. She went and popped out a couple of kids.
She did come back for WWE for a little stint, you know.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would have been interesting if she would have stayed for a little bit just to see how she would have helped out some of the girls there, you know, like Kelly and like Ariel and maybe Layla, you know.
So to answer Dallas's question, was Dawn Marie good in ECW? No. No, she was not.
She was playing such a typical kind of like ditzy type of girl.
Yeah.
I saw some clips with her and it was just like, yeah. I don't really like it. I liked her better. I liked her better in WWE.
The problem with her in ECW is, besides the character that she played, she actually played the ditzy one well, but the problem with how she played it, or when she took bumps, she would never get it right. Like, she couldn't even take a stunner. And, you know, she got it from Tammy like every other night. Sunny at the time. No. Just girl, bye.
Well, you gotta remember, a lot of those girls probably didn't know how to wrestle, and I don't know if they trained them to wrestle or learn how to take a bump. So
they did. So that's the problem. So Dawn Marie was trained before, and Francine was also trained before. Actually, they were planning on being wrestlers, and then ECW just used them. The only one I'm not sure about is Beulah McGillicuddy, but she took everything fine, so we ain't got no problems with her. But yeah, so Dawn Marie was trained before getting into the ring.
Okay. Well, we'll never know. So yeah.
I just told you. How do you not know?
I can't add anything. I never watched ECW back in its day.
It's all on the network. You can watch it all in the WWE network.
We're going to have a watch party.
I was one of those back in the day. It's okay, brand loyal, pick one brand. That's the only brand you're watching. That was WWF at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day, ECW was my favorite.
Because it was
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, a lot of people love ECW. You know, So.
But it needed to die when it died, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And WWE should not have tried to re-get. No.
Mm-hmm. They should have. Yeah, I think they did an interview about they should have called it something else instead of ECW. If they wanted a third brand, so.
Coming in hot.
Hello.
Woo! Hey.
Sorry I'm late, everybody.
Making it just in time is Daniel.
I'll be right back. I'm getting a work call.
Okay, take your time.
Okay.
So at the beginning of the show, when we did our introductions, we did our top favorite music album. So if you want to give us your top 1 or 2.
Ooh, let's go Sunday at the Village Vanguard by Bill Evans. And I'll just leave it at that. And Solo Monk, Thelonious Monk.
All right.
Okay.
2 big favorites.
So we pretty much got through all our 3 managers. So if you want to go ahead with your 3 list.
Yeah. Let's see. What did I do here? I actually got 4. So I guess my number 1 answer last week was the Mouth of the South. Jimmy Hart. He's billed from Memphis. I'm from Memphis. It's kind of a no-brainer. The Awesome Jacket, the Bullhorn, managed the Honky Tonk Man during his IC run. IC title run. Also managed Greg the Hammer Valentine and King Kong Bundy, and then he left with Hogan to go to WCW when he did. There's the list of people that he's managed is really quite impressive here. Sourced from Wikipedia, of course. Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Jerry the King Lawler, Ted DiBiase, Erwin R. Shyster, IRS. Like the list just goes on and on and on and on. And I think he's just one of the greatest Falaise managers of all time. Great talker, great personality, and from what I hear, a really solid dude. The second one I had, now I did Ted DiBiase, and it's funny because like I think of him as a manager, but he really is known for his wrestling career. I mean, he had a very storied career. He is responsible for managing Stone Cold when he was the ringmaster. He brought the $1 Million Championship. He's also the fourth member of the NWO, which is a pretty fun fact. I didn't know that. When he left them, he went on to manage the Steiner brothers, and this was even before we got Scott Steiner as Big Papa Pump. So at first I wanted to just talk about him as a manager, but his wrestling career was really actually quite storied. 1988 King of the Ring winner. So he lived his gimmick. Vince gave him money to just go ride around in limos and go, tip people $100 at the restaurants and just like everything like that. Like he got to do everything. So kudos to him for an awesome career and always seeming to be on the pulse of what's going on in wrestling.
Unfortunately, he couldn't do that for his son, but that's another story for another day. So.
That is a very different podcast.
Let's not forget, he was a 24/7 champion at one point.
Of course. Former 24/7 champion.
Who isn't?
Yeah.
Right. I'm not. It's coming.
Yep.
Coming. So then next I have Mr. Fuji. And this was fun because I didn't really know a lot about him. Obviously he managed Don Morocco and the late great Yokozuna, but he had a very storied wrestling career. He wrestled for 20 years, multiple promotions, All Japan Pro Wrestling, in the WWF, probably in a few Jim Crockett promotions before he retired in 1985, and then he became a full-time manager. He's known for throwing the salt in the eyes of his opponents. He got his look from Odd Job, from 007, rest in peace, Sean Connery. Let's see. He managed Cowboy Bob Orton. He managed Kamala. He managed the Powers of Pain and the poorly named Orient Express. So he's great. And then my last one I had Miss Elizabeth. Has anyone talked about her?
Nope.
No.
Got to talk about her. Everyone knows the storyline, so I won't go through it. But all the stuff with Hogan and Savage. She was a member of the NWO, married to Lex Luger. We all know what happened there. I don't want to talk about the unfortunate parts of her life. But
I don't think they were married though.
I think they were married for. I
don't think they were. No, I don't think
so.
I
Were they not
remember
married?
hearing that. No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
I think that
I
they
think
were
she was
together
married
for like
to.
3 years.
I think she was married to Macho Man, but I don't think she married. So
She started off as a TV announcer. I didn't know that. She's one of the probably most lovable characters in all of wrestling history. Everyone says her name with great reverence as the.
Oh, we just lost him. Aw. Is he coming back?
Hopefully. He should be back within a minute, hopefully.
So I do have some information about Miss Elizabeth. They were not married at the time. She did marry somebody after Macho Man, Gary, something or other. He wasn't a wrestler. I don't know. They only lasted a couple years. And then unfortunately, we all know that she ended up passing away. And he's back. Phew.
Yay.
Yes, that's the one super disadvantage to having a touch screen is that you forget about it every once in a while. Sorry.
We lost you right in mid-sentence.
And so anyway, that's my 4. Who did y'all talk about? Who did I miss?
So first I'm gonna say I'm really surprised that you didn't add Terry Reynolds to your list.
I thought that somebody else was already gonna do it, so I went the different route.
So I didn't
because I wanted to hear somebody else's perspective because for me, technically, I didn't like Terry Reynolds probably because when I was watching like around 99, 2000, she was a heel. Oh.
How do you mute him? Terry Reynolds is a goat.
I know. But to me, it's just like she hated women's wrestling, and I was just like, I don't like that. It's just like, if you don't like it, then just leave. Like, don't yuck somebody's yum that like wants to do it. I'm sorry. It's just like, that's what really irks me with her. It's just like she complains too much. Sorry.
She didn't like wrestling. She loved women wrestling. She didn't feel comfortable wrestling because she wasn't trained.
They trained her.
No, she liked being on the camera and stuff. She just didn't like it. She didn't hate women's wrestling. She just didn't think she was a good enough wrestler. From an interview that I've seen.
It's kind of weird though, because she is married to someone who is known as one of the best wrestling trainers in the world today, in Dustin Rhodes. So that's kind of interesting.
Well, they're not married now.
Well, right.
Yeah.
But I mean, he could have easily trained her. After all, he's a natural.
Right. But she didn't want to though.
Mm-hmm. That was the thing. So, but yeah. Well, I talked about Vicky Guerrero and Karen Angle. So they have like almost they had like similar type of careers. You know, they're wives, and then they came in as characters, and then they took over the wrestling world. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, my three were Beulah McGillicuddy, Kimono Wanalea, Leia Meow, and the Queen of Extreme, the head cheerleader, Francine.
He practiced that all day.
I did.
Very good.
So my three, I did the late great Paul Bearer, Sonny, and the late great legendary Bobby the Brain Heenan.
How's the Sonny discussion?
We kept it clean.
Mm-hmm.
It happened.
Yeah, but for me, for you guys, you've seen more managers than me, because as I was watching wrestling, I didn't really watch too many managers. So I'm kind of happy that now AEW is bringing managers, so that I can kind of like see which ones I like. So
Right.
Okay, Orlando, you're so much younger than the rest of us. We get it.
Well, like you just told me a few minutes ago, it's all on the network.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I'll probably have to watch it. Yeah. No, they probably have a documentary for Bobby Heenan and stuff, right? And all of them.
I'm sure they do.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll watch it.
Watch party.
Also, Daniel, you missed something that was quite shocking for me. Sarah has never seen ECW.
Ooh. Well, lucky you. You've got an entire library of what the fuck to watch. And it's all quite fantastic, even the weird parts. ECW is a very special little nook in wrestling history. And honestly, I'm happy for you that you haven't watched any of it, because you've got so much to watch now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, I even have the One Night Stand, and also I have the Rise and Fall of ECW, the documentary, which was very popular, back in the day. So
I've actually got 2 nightstands, but
you only keep them for 2?
Hold on.
I do feel there is one other good manager we should talk about that nobody's touched on, especially since we touched on ECW just a little bit.
Missy Hyatt?
No. Paul Heyman.
Oh, yeah. Master of the microphone. Now, how are you bringing up Paul Heyman and you didn't watch ECW? Like, that blows my mind.
I've actually met
Paul
Heyman.
He's
you met him?
Well, and also, yeah. Oh, really? Oh, nice.
I didn't. Yeah. It was
either.
It was either just before it started or right as it just started. I was at a house show and he came up to Syracuse promoting it, and he was walking through the crowds and telling everybody to come watch and just kind of talking it up a little bit. So I was there with one of my friends. We were seniors in high school. I just kind of blew it off like, whatever, small time promotion. Didn't think anything of it. And then years later, I'm like, wait a minute. I met Paul Heyman and Tommy Dreamer because Tommy Dreamer was with him.
Oh.
Well then.
So you knew them before they were household names. Wow.
That is true.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, Paul Heyman was a household name in WCW because wasn't he Paulie Dangerous?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Around that time?
Yep.
Yeah, so you know. So yeah, so I remember seeing some of those clips, and then and witnessing Paul Heyman in, like, around 2000, 2002 with Brock Lesnar, you know. So
Mhm.
Dallas,
so-
you can skip the whole the ECW on WWE brand. That no. Mm-mm.
yeah, no. Well,
That
no,
was
they have some good matches.
girl. No, bye with that. Okay, no. Okay, let me rephrase. Yes, there were some good matches, but don't confuse that with ECW.
Right,
That
no,
was
no.
basically an older version of Main Event.
But CM Punk
Very
was
much.
there. He's your favorite.
CM Punk can get fucked.
Ooh, we're about to get burned by the CM Punk band. Watch.
No, I'm just kidding. I actually don't hate him. I don't know. He just whatever.
You
No,
did
I
get
mean, like,
some.
look, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say if you do watch the WWE ECW, you do get some young Kofi action and some young Sheamus action.
But don't
Yeah.
confuse. Okay, so let me rephrase this. Don't confuse that with what you would see in the original ECW.
Oh yeah, not at all. Apples and oranges. Apples and fucking
Dallas remembers the
pineapples.
zombie.
I don't remember the zombie.
No, we're not talking
I don't
about the
either.
zombie.
But
Yeah.
we're not gonna talk about that.
Okay, fine. I'll talk
Thank
about it. The very first episode of ECW on TNN, they brought out a character, the zombie, and he walked out and he had this cut off red flannel shirt on, and they were trying to.
Yeah.
No, it was on Sci-Fi Channel.
Yes, that's why they had
Yeah.
to do that. So that's why
Right.
they had vampires as some characters. They had to have something that was sci-fi. That's the only reason that they would allow it. I remember that whole thing now. Yes.
Oh Lord. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, Deli. I hear you.
But let's not take away Paul Heyman. Like, he's a good manager, but also he's a good mind. Like, even though sometimes he could be a liar, he could be a manipulator, but others.
And now all he does is just stare at Roman Reigns with this look on his face.
Well, he's intimidated. What do you expect?
It's great.
This counts.
I mean,
He's part of the
he's
council.
scared of he's scared of our tribal chief, okay? Because the tribal chief knows what he's doing. And he has to do it. Even though it's wrong, but he knows what he's doing. And don't roll your eyes, okay?
I just
We'll discuss that later. Okay?
that's like telling me not to roll my eyes is like telling CM Punk not to say anything negative.
Ooh.
Oh please. He's the poster boy of negativity. I'm sorry to say, but sometimes he has some good points. Other times he's just like,
He does. I think my only concern is that like you're not in the. I don't know. It's like when nursing. Okay, this is how I come from it. Like if you're not in my field, like nursing or whatever, and you're making comments about my industry, like, bitch, please. And I kind of feel it the same. You're not really in that industry anymore. So do you really have a foot in it? But then one could argue he was in it, so maybe he does. So never mind. I'm just being a hater today. I have to go back.
But I
to
saw a
work after
YouTube
this.
video about it.
Yeah.
Try being a musician for a living. Everyone's got something to say about every little thing you do. All the time.
of course.
Would you pop if CM Punk showed up to AEW? No.
Of course I would.
I would pop if he showed up in WWE. I'd be like, you fucking prick, you liar. No, I'm kidding.
It would be a much bigger pop if he hadn't already done the lame fucking backstage thing. Changed the culture. That was so weak, CM Punk. What the hell? But yeah, I would still freak out over that. That'd be awesome.
He was on Renee Paquette's podcast recently, this week or last week, and said he's more.
Yeah.
It would take a lot for him to come back, but he's more likely to come back to AEW than WWE because he needs a good story, not money.
No.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's a lie. He wants money.
Oh yeah, he did say it would take good money, but a good story would lessen the amount of money he needs.
Now imagine if Vince McMahon gives him the money and he says, you'll get the main event of WrestleMania, which that's the one thing that he always wanted.
Against two, though.
Because
But I think he would have to get the win in order for him to come back, not just.
of course,
Mhm.
of course, of course. But that's the thing, like, because that's what he always says whenever he talks about WWE. He's just like, I failed because I never got that main event, and that's why he hates the Miz.
Maybe I don't hate him so much after all now. So I will also throw out another disclaimer about me and CM Punk. I didn't watch wrestling anytime that he was wrestling, so I don't know if he was actually good or anything. I was already out of the...
Same.
Yeah.
No, he was good. It's just I think it has to take with he has to be with a good opponent. That's the thing, So it's just like he had some good matches with John Morrison. He's had some good matches with Chris Jericho. So he has it. He can get a good match out of somebody. If he wanted to.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think one manager we didn't mention, Sensational Sherry Martel.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she definitely deserves a mention. I should have looked up a little more information about her to read, but she definitely needs to be mentioned.
Luna
Yeah.
Vachon, I believe, did some managing work too.
Oh, yeah. I think both although Sherry Martel and Luna Vachon were both more known for their as wrestlers, they were actually longer managers than they were wrestlers. Luna Vachon was so amazing. She was so scary, so freaky. She was really the next version of Sherry Martel. And Sherry Martel could work in the ring. Sherry Martel is probably the equivalent to Bobby Heenan, as far as male, female. Like, she just, she made a great heel. She was flashy. She was everything that she needed to be. She was literally just in the wrong air. She was just brought in at the wrong air.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Should we do some more honorable mentions? Because we didn't mention Ricardo Rodriguez.
Who?
Alberto Del Rio's manager.
No, we don't have to mention him at all.
He's fantastic.
No.
I think he's wonderful.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Zelina Vega.
Right?
Yeah, she was good in her role. It's just something happened to her, so unfortunately,
Yeah.
She'll be
Rest in
back
peace,
somewhere
Rick.
eventually.
Yeah.
She's killing it on Twitch, though.
Something I don't think we mentioned about Vince McMahon. He was a good manager. I mean, like, he was the boss, but I mean, like, he
Who?
would accompany Vince McMahon.
Oh, yeah.
I remember sometimes he would manage some of the wrestlers, help them out, help them get some heat because, of course, he's the heat magnet at the time. So
I would call him more of a ringside presence than a manager, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't count him.
No.
I see what you're saying, though. Like, if we're counting for somebody that's on ringside and causing some damage, for sure. I'm trying to think. I feel like we're missing so many. I think as soon as we end this podcast,
Paul Ellering was another good manager.
Who?
He
Paul
managed
Ellering.
Legion of Doom.
Oh
yeah.
Forgot about him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he came back for a little bit in NXT and managed AOP. Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
James Mitchell.
We're forgetting about. Yeah, I was about to say James Mitchell. Like, he managed in ECW, and then he went to TNA, and he was managing Abyss. So his career was really stands out there.
Mikey
Oh,
Whipwreck.
Gorgeous George. We forgot about her.
Mm-hmm.
She's always one of my favorites.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh wait, and Charmel. Charmel was a good piece for Booker T in WWE.
Wasn't she known as Paisley?
Like in WCW, but then I'm saying in WWF when Booker T came from WCW to WWE, and then he became King Booker. Oh, you didn't watch it
in real
that
life.
time.
They're married in real life, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they're married in real life. Sometimes it's just like your girlfriend or your wife always helps you to the next level. So
We are leaving somebody
unless
out.
you're Mark Marrow and you're Sable. Like, she
Yeah,
buried
pretty
his
much.
career.
We are.
well, no, that was his fault though. But anyways.
No. So, well, probably yes, it was his own fault, but he was supposed to go up against Stone Cold Steve Austin in the King of the Ring in one of the final things, but Sable ended up Sable bombing him, and Stone Cold was like, "No, I'm not going to go up against him. There's no point." And that's how the end of Mark Marrow ended up now being a motivational speaker. Oh,
we lost
was this
Daniel
something we
again.
said?
Oh, was it
Daniel's a
Mark
big
Merrill?
Sable
Was it?
fan.
Oh, no.
Right.
Because to me, what I heard the story is that Mark got injured, so that's when Sable's popularity started. So if he did not get injured, I don't think Sable's popularity would have. Sorry, maybe it would have took a little bit longer, but it would have not skyrocketed how it was now.
I don't know.
I know from the story that I heard, like I know that Stone Cold, it was on Stone Cold's podcast where he's like, "No, I'm not going to go up against Mark Marrow because Sable's beating him." And then, I mean, maybe he was injured after that, but he just wasn't around anymore. Like he did a couple like dark matches, and then he.
We are missing two big ones, I think.
Who are-
J.J. Dillon, who is the leader of the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was the start of that. Okay, gotcha.
And everyone's favorite podcast, Jim Cornette.
If
We almost made it through the whole episode, right?
Yeah.
we don't say his
Well,
name
look,
around
I
here.
mean, but look. I mean, we have our opinions with different of the managers that we have listed or we have mentioned. So, of course, we have to mention Jim Cornette, even though he's a terrible human being now. But it's just like it's just God. It's just like now he's just going down and just like hating the business because it's actually like achieving what it needs to be, like being like very talked about and fans are enjoying. So it's just I don't.
Well,
When it comes to Jim Cornette, I try to not mention him either. So
it's unfortunate because he does make some really good points. He just does it in really shitty ways. And,
he's a really great historian. I'll give him that, and that's about it.
Sure.
That's true. Yeah. Like,
I still listen to him, even though half the time I'm like, oh, it's this fucking guy. Why do I still listen to you? And I still do.
Yeah. Like, exactly. It's just like, I just want to hear his opinion, be like, you're so outdated. You're so overreacting. It's just so ridiculous. It's just like, come on now. It's just like, if fans are enjoying it, why you're going to bitch about it? It's just like, I don't get that. Oh, we're losing people. Oh boy. It's just
we got one
us.
back.
Okay.
I think we got one back.
Oh.
Did you
Brian, you there? Oh, we got two back.
Brian's only half back.
Did you kick me?
Oh, there you go.
Are we leaving? Are we done? What happened?
No, we're just giving our opinions. Yeah. All right. I think it's time for us to wrap this up.
Yeah. Sorry,
All right.
no, I had a phone call. Somebody was
that's all right.
Yeah, so I was down and out.
All right, so join us. We'll be doing on Saturday. We'll be doing our typical week in review show. Time to be determined, but we will put it up on our page what time we're doing it. That'll be up either later tonight or tomorrow morning. And Tuesday's discussion show, we're going to do some fantasy Impact versus AEW booking and talk about some of those matches. So that should be really fun.
I love fantasy booking.
Woohoo!
Sorry, Dallas, nothing tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. So Saturday will be our typical weekend review show. So you can catch us on Twitter at Bucklebomb ENT, bucklebombentertainment.com. You can find me on Twitter at HTC_Sarah G&W.
You know what it is? It's DMC Grizzle. It's Twitter. It's Instagram. It's Facebook. It's Twitch. Come hang out with your boy. Thanks, Dallas. We love you.
Just don't end up in Facebook jail again.
You can find me on Twitter at Orly1985. That's ORLLIE1985. Go ahead and give us a follow. We're also on Instagram, Bucklebomb ENT as well. Go ahead and follow us there.
We are fucking everywhere. Just follow us everywhere. You can follow me
Yes.
at Brian Bella BBE on Twitter. And my OnlyFans is no, just kidding. It's not open yet.
Wait, you
It's
remembered
coming
your
very
Twitter
soon.
handle?
I did.
Oh wow!
Well, because I put
Woo!
Brian Bella on my bottom, so it's like, and then I just got to remember BBE. Although one time I think I said it on one of our shows, BBE. Hear me. I'll save that for later.
Also, follow us on podcasts, Apple, Spotify, and we are now on iHeartRadio podcasts.
What's up?
Woo! Whoop 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 whoop! We're everywhere. We're everywhere.
Mhm.
Yes.
We're like COVID. We're spreading all over.
Ooh.
No, not such a bad. Oh.
Okay, we're like herpes. We're everywhere.
Yeah, there you go.
You can't get rid of us.
Everyone has access to us.
Oh.
1 in every 4 people.
Oh.
Damn.
I
All
am
right.
highly offended.
She volunteered you as tribute.
It's not how that works. Yes,
All
Dallas,
right.
support
We
your
have-
local herpes.
We have gone off the
Yes.
rails here, so this is a good spot to end. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye,
Back to-
everybody.
Practice safe